The Shadow Walker. It happened on the night between December 30th and 31st, the very end of the year. I was 10 years old, living with my parents in an old two-story house on the outskirts of a small town in Maryland. The house had creaking floors, narrow hallways, and that constant feeling that the walls had heard far more than they ever told. That night, my dad left for a New Year's corporate party at his company. My mum, who never cared for loud gatherings, decided to stay home with me. She said we could finish setting up our Christmas tree and then get some rest. The tree stood in the corner of the living room, tall, full, its branches covered in golden ornaments and warm white lights. I kept staring at it in awe, imagining how magical the new year would be. By midnight, we were exhausted. I went to my room and Mum went to hers with our dog, Trixie, a small terrier mix who usually barked at every noise in the neighborhood. I crawled under my blanket and tried to fall asleep. But something felt off. I lay there with my eyes closed for at least half an hour, and nothing. No sleep. Just a strange, restless feeling. Like the silence in the house wasn't really silence. Then I heard it. Footsteps on the kitchen floor. Slow, heavy, deliberate. I assumed it was Mum. Maybe she decided to grab a glass of water. But when I opened my bedroom door and stepped into the hallway, Mum stepped out of her room at the exact same moment. She looked confused. "I thought that was you walking around," I whispered. Mum shook her head. "I was just about to ask why you're up. I heard footsteps in the kitchen." The hallway suddenly felt colder. "But that wasn't me," I said, my voice trembling. "And Trixie?" "She's been with me the whole time," Mum answered. We exchanged a terrified look. Still, we forced ourselves to check the kitchen. The light flicked on. Empty. Nothing moved. Everything was exactly where we'd left it. We checked every room in the house, every corner, every closet. Nothing. Trying to convince ourselves it was just our imagination, we went to sleep in Mum's room. She closed the door and turned off the lights. I lay next to her, listening to her breathing. Except I knew she wasn't asleep. Neither was I. Minutes passed, and then the footsteps came back. This time they were louder, closer, walking across the kitchen, then the hallway. Trixie jumped off the bed and hid underneath, whimpering. My heart was pounding so hard it hurt. Mum grabbed my hand and whispered, "Don't move." The footsteps reached our door, and then the doorknob turned. The door slowly creaked open, just a few inches at first, then wider and wider, and something stood in the doorway. It wasn't a person. It wasn't an animal. It was a shadow, but wrong in every way. Tall, with arms too long and legs too short, like its body had forgotten how human proportions worked. Its hair was long and tangled, hanging around its head like rotted seaweed. And the worst part, the part that still keeps me awake at night, was that it didn't walk. It glided, smoothly, silently, as if the floor didn't exist for it at all. I screamed, Mum wrapped her arms around me and pressed my head against her chest. She shut her eyes tightly, whispering a prayer through shaking breaths. Trixie whimpered louder, claws scratching against the floor as she tried to disappear deeper under the bed. The air grew heavy, thick, like the room itself was holding its breath. I felt something cold brush against my foot, and then nothing. When Mum finally loosened her grip, I opened my eyes. The doorway was empty. The hallway beyond was dark and still. The shadow was gone. We didn't sleep again that night. The next day, our relatives came over to celebrate New Year's Eve. We tried to pretend everything was normal, but my grandma noticed instantly. She always did. When Mum told her what we'd seen, Grandma went quiet. Not scared, more like she recognized something. Then she said, "In houses as old as this one, sometimes something else lives there too. Some call it a shadow walker. It keeps to certain corners, certain spots, and if you disturb its space, it comes out." She looked at the Christmas tree standing in the corner of the living room. "You might have put the tree where it usually stands." Her voice was calm, but her eyes weren't. No one enjoyed the holiday after that. Within 2 months, we moved to a different house, a newer one, brighter, warmer. But even now, years later, every time December approaches, every time the nights get longer, every time I hear footsteps somewhere they shouldn't be, I remember that night. And sometimes I feel like the shadow walker remembers me too, and it's still looking.